Okay, we're back. Again, as I said, I'm just doing an hour-long thing and taking breaks in between each one so that I can separate these videos out into 7 different ones. And we've just finished with the Great Pyramid, and Merlin has not left. He's just checking out my lap. You want to say hi, Merlin, before we go on? Yes. Show everybody how cute you are. Okay. He's like, Mom, quit doing that. Anyway, we are going to share screen and we're moving along. Okay. So next we're going to be talking about the geometric shapes and their frequencies. Now, you've noticed that up until this point, I showed you how DNA creates shapes, and you're going to start seeing some of those shapes now. And again, notice how the pattern of this F sharp is appearing in a lot of places. And I'm like, huh. Because remember, F sharp is the fundamental frequency of the universe. And so it's like we're living in the key of F sharp. Yes, I find that rather fascinating. So moving on, we're going to draw the curtain on the last one and open up the geometric shapes and their frequencies. If it will let me, come on. There we go. What you do to find the frequencies of the shapes is you take, better move me up here first. You're not going to see the word frequencies, but are you done, Merlin? You're going to take the interior angles of each shape and you're going to add them up. Well, at least we get to see his tail. Then you take that number and turn it into a musical frequency, which is a hertz. So hertz frequency equals musical pitch. So an example, you're going to take the interior angle of a triangle, all 3 angles inside, and it adds up to 180 degrees. Well, if you take 180 degrees and turn it into 180 hertz, guess what? It's an F sharp. The only difference is it's an F sharp in the A432 concert pitch. It's still an F sharp. It's just lower. It sounds lower than it does in A440. 432 is a lower number, so it's going to have a lower pitch. The higher the number, the higher the pitch. That's just how it works. All geometric shapes and platonic solids have a fundamental frequency of F sharp, and they're in the A432 concert pitch. What are the odds of that, right? Here's a copy of the frequency chart that I created using a modified Pythagorean ratio. What you do is you take and you fix 1 octave, which I think I did in this range right here. I started at 256. And, I did the math. Someone sent me the math on how to do it. And then once I did that, then I doubled to get the octave higher and I divided to get the octave lower. Now, the piano can only play, this is, what is the lowest note on the piano? It's low A. So 27 hertz, I think, is the lowest note on the piano. So the piano can go from here up till it's 8 octaves higher. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up into here, up to the high C, which is up there. So this is slightly below and slightly above the modern piano. Now, if this were in equal temperament, or if this were in Verkler or Rameau or just intonation, these numbers would be slightly different because you have to change the temperament, which is the distance between each note. Equal temperament is they're all the same. Pythagorean ratios are not equal temperament. There's the distance between each note is slightly different, and every other tuning other than equal temperament is going to have slight adjustments, which means all of these numbers are going to slightly change. But there's still a B is going to be a B at 486 hertz, as well as it will be at maybe 492, 493, 494. The 494 would just be slightly higher. And to most people, they wouldn't be able to hear the difference. Okay, now let's take a look at the shapes. I need to move me again. Okay. All right. So if you take the triangle, as I said before, you add it all up, it's 180 degrees. That is the lowest number. That is 180 is the lowest you're going to get. Now, the one angle itself you're going to have different degrees, but if you're looking at all of the different shapes, these are the degrees in these shapes that are all added up. Notice you have an F sharp for 180. You double that, which is 360. Then you have your pentagon, which is 540 degrees, which is 540 hertz. That's a C sharp. Then 720, it goes up to an F sharp. Then you have an A sharp. The interesting thing is these first 5 notes follow the harmonic series perfectly. It's once we get to 1080 that it changes. It's no longer following the harmonic series as far as continuing on up. But you're seeing an F sharp major triad with one exception. And see if you can see where that is. Which shape is not in the F sharp triad? So the 3 notes in the F sharp triad are F sharp, A sharp, and C sharp. And you've already thinking in your head, you'll notice it's the dodecahedron, which is a G sharp. That is the 7th degree of an F sharp scale. Interesting. But when you're looking at all of these F sharps, this is just telling you all of the shapes pretty much are going to fit within the F sharp major, which I don't know why that is. And eventually I might see that at some point, but I can't tell you why now. I just think it's interesting. But again, we're going back to the frequencies of creation. You see some of these shapes in the DNA. You're seeing these shapes in the cymatics. You're seeing F sharp all throughout creation. And now we're seeing it in the shapes. And I just, a couple of little music theory moment geekiness here. Concert pitch determines when a set of pitches are higher or lower within a specific tonal range. For example, A440, A432, A456, A417. Those are all A's, just like the color green is going to have lime green, forest green. What is that color that's from the 70s? Avocado green. You've got all of these different colors of green, but they're still in the green category. You're going to have the same thing with pitches. They're going to be within the A category. They're just, some are going to be a little bit higher than others. And they have to work together as a unit. So you can't mix A432 and A440 and A444 and A450 all together in one thing. You're going to play in one concert pitch, but you might use a different temperament within that concert pitch, and the temperament will adjust the distance between each of the notes so that all the A's are the same, all the B's are the same, all the B flats are the same in the different octaves. So we can't let that bother us as far as, well, why is this in A432 and this in A440? Well, every sound is in creation. Every possible sound is in creation. It's just that some things are going to be in 432, some things are going to be in 440, just like you have greens that are going to be lime, some that are going to be forest, some are going to be avocado. Okay? The F sharp from the Big Bang fits closer with the A440 concert pitch. The F sharp from the Great Pyramid, we don't know which concert pitch because no one's given me specific frequencies. They've just said it's an F sharp major triad. Now, a lot of these people who do research don't necessarily write down the specific frequencies because they're not musicians, and to them it doesn't make a difference. So if you know anybody who's got the actual pitches that they measured in the Great Pyramid, I'd like to know what they are because I want to know what concert pitch they're in. The F sharp from DNA bases are in a variety of concert pitches, and you're going to see that in the periodic table as well. The F sharp from all geometric shapes, that's in the A432 concert pitch. The musical frequencies of the Hebrew letters are also in the A432 concert pitch. So you're going to see some things working in different concert pitches. And, maybe you just could call it they're different classes of concert pitches, and different things work in different ways. You've gone to the paint store and you see a bunch of beiges and they have little swatches of all the different variations from light to dark, but they're all in the same color family, the same color tone. So that if you want to paint your wall, some of those colors, they're going to look good together. Concert pitch works the same way. And so we just have to look at it. If you compare paint and colors with musical frequencies and the different concert pitches, you'll understand why there's differences, and it's okay to have differences. Okay, I think, oh, there's a little bit more. And this is where I'm going to introduce the next piece, which is the tetragrammaton, which is the Yod He Vav He, which is they call as the 4 letters of the name of God. And the Hebrews write it G-D. To the Jews, this name was too sacred to say, so was either written as G-D or Hashem. In the intervals of the Hebrew letters are the, guess what? Minor third. Yod He Vav He. Yod He Vav He. Interesting, isn't that? The first interval that came out of the Big Bang was the minor third, which they say is Creator's voice. That would make sense if you're looking at Jewish thinking, for example, and they are one of the oldest civilizations besides the Sumerians. And the Sumerians are older, but at the same, there's a lot of research that's showing that the two coexisted at the same time and worked together. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that here. But here's the interesting thing is the minor third morphs into the major third, which represents the voice of Yeshua, which is in the New Testament, the Christ. And so you have Yod He Shin Vav He. So you got both a minor third and a major third there. Now you could sing it different ways, but that's how I sang it. So the musical harmonic series is evident in the shapes in the 432 concert pitch, and the specific intervals are evident in the frequencies of the 7 divine names of God in the A432 concert pitch. So Yahweh, Ayah, Asher, Ayah, which is I am that I am, Adonai. There's all these different names of God, and they've got a lot of these same intervals, and they all fit within the A432 concert pitch, which is, again, fascinating. I don't understand all the connections yet, but the more I research, the more I'll figure out. And I just think it's really interesting how this all ties in with the shapes as well. Okay. All right, that ends this one. So as usual, you're going to find all the links. Well, you're going to find the link to the blog posts. I can't remember if this one has 1 or 2 different ones in it below in the description, and all of the sources are there. You can follow me on Instagram and get a nice little meme every day, or you can do the same thing on the Facebook page where I put more than memes up, and then sign up for the newsletter if you want lots of geeky musical frequency stuff. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because you never know, I'm going to throw something up, and we'll continue this discussion when we get to crop circles. So I'm going to stop sharing here for a second, and we'll just continue. I'm going to wait before I start the next one because the street guy is making another pass in front of my house.